We are staring into your soul. Because we're geeks and we don't know what else to do. Welcome everybody out to this latest episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions for Valentine's Day 2015. Do I need to say February 14th? I don't think so. I said Valentine's Day. And so, welcome everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend. Me, not so much. Apparently, somebody decided to gift me with strep throat, and I didn't appreciate that. And I didn't appreciate having to go to the doctor and finding out the hard way. But thankfully, I'm on the mend, and we are here to give some geek news, reviews, and opinions. And also, with me is my usual panel here. First of all, we are going to be going to the one, the only, the Raccoon's Master himself, Aldo Gomez of BoardOffline.net. How are we doing this wonderful night, Aldo?
I'm doing way too good right now.
Wait. It almost makes me wonder, why is he doing so great?
Because I have Monster Hunter for you.
Oh my gosh! For a second there, I thought you were going to say, because I have a date later tonight.
Nope. What I do with Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
Hey, no, there you go. So, alright, awesome. And then also we are being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, Alex Short. He has decided to come out of the shadows, out of the shadow of Black Rose, who is behind him, if you can barely tell. And how are we doing this wonderful night, Alex?
I had the driest piece of cake today. It was not good, so...
You had the driest piece of cake, alright.
Yes, I hate to make a portal joke here, but it might be inevitable.
So you're saying that the cake was a lie in the fact that it was dry?
Well, the cake was indeed factual because it existed, but it was just really dry. Gladys would be so ashamed.
All right, and then also live from the realm of Termina, we have the Happy Mask salesman, and he's here to warn us about the upcoming apocalypse from Majora coming out on 3DS. What is the problem here? I thought that was a good game to some N64 players.
Well, let's just say you shouldn't really trust any major tasks to 13-year-old fairy boys from the forest. They're known for getting very, very distracted.
Well, you shouldn't, but I mean, what if that little kid is the hero of time?
Very distracted.
He does like to do a lot of fishing.
Yeah.
Or he just won't leave the chickens alone. I mean, it's been several times. He keeps slashing. When will he ever learn?
He never will. He never will.
Yeah, I asked him to get the mask. It's been. I mean, you think I forget the whole 3 days thing? No, I remember everything.
I think Dorkly.com already covered this in the fact that Link is probably one of the, if not the most ADD hero that has ever existed.
Yeah. So yeah, if anybody out there can get that mask back and put an end to this madness, please, please.
How close is the moon?
I don't even want to look up.
Okay,
I haven't been able to sleep. Why do you think my eyes are so red?
No, I get it, man. Welcome, Stephen Romney of Romney's Reviews and Studio Phantasma. How are we doing, Romney?
Well, pretty good. This has just kind of been the season of everybody getting sick because I've been dealing with a bit of a cold today, so yeah. But
Welcome,
so far...
The flu season.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, got some new pants, and got the new 3DS XL complete with Majora's Mask.
Oh, nice.
And a charging cable?
Well, I had one that I already bought from GameStop back when I had to replace the charger for my DS, and it has the heads for both the DS and 3DS, because I'm guessing that was the head they used for the DSi. So... And I haven't sold my Fire Emblem Awakening 3DS because I'm probably going to give it to my older brother, so...
Nice. All right, well, now that we've gotten the introductions out of the way, we have some geek news and reviews and some opinions to give. And man, oh man, did I kind of save some opinionated stories this week. So like I said it was last week, right? Yeah, okay. Time is a weird thing for me right now. It's not a river. So at that point last week, we did give a little sneak peek on stuff we were going to talk about this week. We're still talking about them because they need mentioning. But let's go ahead and get started with the tech stories of the week. And I hate to start on such a negative note, but I figure if we start with the negative, then we can work our way to the positive. And so our first story tonight is about Sonic Boom has become the worst-selling major Sonic game in history. I was a little surprised to look at the numbers and see how bad it did compared to some of the other titles that came out. I mean, for example, Lost World I'd heard was a very unique kind of thing. It didn't do as well as they wanted, but it did fairly well. And the copies that it did compared to what Sonic Boom did, little surprising. I'm just going to say. So they managed to shift 490,000 copies, and this looks like it's a combined total both of the Rise of Lyric title and the Shattered Crystal title on 3DS. Apparently I'm saying Tweedles now. I don't know why. On 3DS. And so 490,000 copies. Now, Lost World had a 3DS and a Wii U release. 710,000. It did slightly better than this. And I actually was able to find a site, and I couldn't find it this morning, but it actually detailed all the sales of Sonic games and compared them. So it was a little surprising to see that Sonic Boom now is the worst-selling Sonic game ever. And I've already seen rumors talking about how Sonic Boom may be the game that killed Sega. So I'm going to go ahead and let the Sonic fan step up first on his opinions on the matter, because if I get something wrong, then he's usually going to call me on it. Alex, what are your opinions on this being the worst-selling title? I already know you don't think this is going to kill Sega, and I don't think that either. But
well, yeah, for starters, no, this isn't the game that killed Sega. Sega's been in trouble for a few years now. Sonic Boom didn't help anything, but it didn't exactly drag them down either.
No, it just continued to the snowball rolling down the hill.
I am a little bit surprised that Boom has done so poorly. I know, yes, it's been poorly reviewed, of course, but still, I figured, yeah, it's gonna do okay in the first while, but then it's gonna taper off pretty quickly.
I'm kind of surprised too. I especially considering there are so many reviews and Let's Plays of it right now, just to show how bad it is. There would be some raw numbers there, but 490,000, that's pretty scarce.
Yeah, I really am surprised. I mean, sure, old farts like myself, longtime fans are gonna hate it and avoid it, but I figured, if anything, kids who are getting into it now would probably pick it up, and there's with the new show on Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
So the terrible fact in all this is that kids are gonna pick this game up.
Yeah, they are. Because here's the thing. I mean, even with Sonic 06, you hear it's that bad, but you don't believe it, and therefore you have to pick it up. I heard nothing on Sonic 06. I swear the first indicator should have been that I bought it for $5. It was a PlayStation 3 game for $5 retail, and yeah.
Considering Sonic 06 made it into the best collection for Xbox, in other words, it sold incredibly well.
Yeah, it became a platinum seller, so that was a little surprising. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, however. In this article, they do state that even though 490,000 is bleak for Sonic Boom, Sega has not had a bad year overall, because Alien Isolation was able to shift 1,760,000 copies, which is a good sign. All right, so Sega's doing good. It's just not everywhere. So I just want to kind of clarify that. Anybody else have any unique opinions on this? Are we surprised that it is the worst-selling Sonic game in the line?
Not entirely. I'm not that surprised, but because I think it's just a case that consumers have gotten a little bit more savvy in recent years. I mean, a lot of things, kids might beg their parents to buy it, but another thing a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of parents nowadays are gamers. They tend to actually be more aware of quality control. And so there's probably three major reasons why the game didn't sell that well, even among the kids. One, parents are gamers and are, or at the very least, more informed about quality products. Two, the show itself may not be getting a lot of viewership by the target audience.
Well, it's not, because it's at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so that could be the reason why a lot of kids aren't clamoring for it, because a lot of kids aren't really seeing it. And the third one could just be the case of, well, and it's kind of sad, but a lot of kids that would just be picking up merchandising like that are probably playing stuff on their tablets and smartphones.
Well, and the other thing that's kind of sad on the matter, Romney, is that, I just barely saw a poll on Google News like a few days ago. It's just like, which video game icon do kids resonate with? And Sonic the Hedgehog was so low on that list, like on that poll. I mean, Mario, everybody got. They had Pikachu on there. Makes sense. They resonate with them. But Sonic the Hedgehog, they either didn't know who he was, or they knew who he was and knew about the recent bad games, not necessarily about the good games.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like we're seeing... I don't know, I'm just reminded of the manga World War Blue, which is kind of a parody of the whole console wars, and I mean, Sega should have probably... I'm betting if the people from Sega in the past saw what Sonic had become nowadays, they probably wouldn't be too happy. I mean, Sonic was supposed to be the Mario killer, and now he's got nothing.
Well, yeah, he was supposed to be the edgy character that was going to take, mopey-dope, what was the term that they actually tried to use? Like, they tried to explain that Mario doesn't resonate with kids because he's just a plumber, and so with this hip, edgy new icon with blast processing behind him, he will be the one that we all remember. Now, here's the thing. Sonic is still kind of part of pop culture now. He's had TV series, more than Mario has. And on top of that, I think they still show a Sonic balloon in the Thanksgiving parade from Macy's, but they don't do Mario anymore?
They do.
Well, yeah, it's because Mario's kind of been superseded by Pikachu, since Pikachu's kind of the more popular character.
With kids, yeah.
Yeah, and so far the only thing Sonic's really got going for it at this rate is some of the mobile phone games they've released, and the comics, really.
And the upcoming movie, which I'm not excited about.
Yeah, don't remind me. I don't want another seizure.
I still kind of think that's up in the air, because with the problems of Sonic Boom, I wonder if Sony Pictures is either looking at it and going, well, we're not going to get much out of it, or Sega's looking at it and saying, we probably can't do it.
Who knows? It'll probably... My guess is that even if they do want to do anything, it's probably just going to be stuck for development hell for a really long time before anything happens. Which has been happening with a lot of video game movies like Onimusha, Devil May Cry, Metroid. The list goes on and on of a lot of video games that are going to be adapted into movies being stuck in development hell. So far, the only ones that have managed to get out of development hell have been Silent Hill, and that's about it.
Yeah, don't remind me about that. So, yeah, there really isn't much to talk on this, but it's just a sad case for Sega. This game has already done plenty of damage, at least financially, for them, and it's at least good to hear that Alien Isolation is kind of keeping things afloat, but we can kind of now understand why a lot of people were laid off and why Sonic is making the switch over to mobile to see if maybe they can start bringing themselves back up.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into the next story, because we're going to be talking about Nintendo. And a lot of people might be thinking we're going to be gushing about them, but, well, Nintendo failed again. I think we even mentioned this last week, but I'm just going to kind of go over it again. The whitelist, a couple of questions got asked by Nintendo why certain games were not being featured in their whitelist for their YouTube service. Everybody take a wild guess as to what Nintendo's answer was.
Super Smash Brothers and Pokemon and...
No, what their answer was to those games not being on the list.
Oh, their answer? I don't know, second-party titles?
Who could do a good cricket impression? There was none.
There was no...
So, yes, Super Smash Brothers isn't part of it, won't be part of it. They will not have that, which is really stupid considering I still am seeing like Evo preps and marathons going on with the Wii U Smash Brothers. This would be the right time to capitalize on that. The other one that I've also seen that will not get featured is Mario Kart. So there's two prime multiplayer games that Let's Players could do, and they're not covered. And won't be covered.
Yeah, especially when you consider like the Pokemon tournaments as well, and the fact that they're not letting any major promotions for that, even though they've been...
And the Pokemon people have come out of the wood. I've already seen comments from a couple of dedicated Pokemon Let's Players who are pissed off.
It's not even the Let's Players, but I mean, they're like the league tournaments that use the games as well.
Yeah.
You'd think they try to make some money off of like broadcasting the tournaments, similar to what Konami does with their Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Nintendo.
go ahead, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, basically you said there's no answer. In other words, fuck you, because that's why.
Alex, I'll have to bleep you. No, I'm not bleeping.
Yeah, 18 minutes in, and we're already at the explicit tag.
New record?
I'm not sure.
We haven't really kept many records.
I want to check this now, but
Well,
we can't do
of
it
course,
right
when
now.
we were on Slick Radio, we had to make sure we were squeaky clean, and
Yes, because we had to follow FCC guidelines, and we're on the internet, so we still kind of have to do that. But
well, not really. We can do what we want.
well, it's by choice. I
Yeah.
can bleep it if I want to, or I can simply put a NFS or NSFW, not safe for work. But no, probably not going to happen.
Yeah, this is
That's why I'm done
Nintendo. This is stupid, Nintendo. Why are you doing this? There are many dedicated Pokemon channels out there. I mean, naming two off the top of my head: the J-Wits, Tamashi Hiroka, Yuri of Winds, so many more that I probably can't name off the top of my head. And Nintendo, this is a huge mistake. Or Super Smash Brothers, which is, you've always been your heavy hitter console mover. I'm amazed. I'm amazed they didn't restrict Mario.
Well, and the funniest part about this whole thing is, I actually saw, and I don't know if you guys saw that. Romney's got Reggie. Just that's Reggie's explanation for everything right now.
Yeah, that's the response.
Yeah, that's pretty much. They send out Reggie to sit there and go, all right, the press conference is over. So the one thing that I actually kind of laughed at is somebody had the idea on Twitter to basically like call up the people from Intervention and bring in Nintendo and just have like the most prominent YouTubers on there that are dedicated Nintendo fans and want to feature Nintendo content, but they won't because there's no reason for it. So it would be like, Jesse Cox comes up on the screen and goes, Nintendo, I love you. Why won't you listen to your fan base? The problem is that I don't think Nintendo would listen in the Intervention either.
Nah.
Wow.
Of course, it wouldn't necessarily have the violent outburst from Nintendo either.
No.
I mean,
no.
Although it would be interesting to see someone trying to hold Reggie down to keep him from swinging at people.
I don't know. I mean, I have heard that Shigeru, when he's had like bad trips during the red eye or whatever, he is kind of cranky. And he looks cranky, but most of the time, happy person. But thankfully,
I'm sorry.
what was that all? Who was that?
Me.
Okay.
I didn't before. Like a year ago, I would not have agreed with this, but now I'm starting to. That Nintendo management really needs a good shake-up, and maybe it is time for people like Iwata to step aside.
It might be. I still am appreciative of Iwata-san because I think he's the best that we could probably get. Like, I don't know, a lot of people have said, put Miyamoto in there. I don't know if I want Miyamoto in Iwata's position. I really don't know if I want that.
Even Miyamoto is, I appreciate Miyamoto to death, and
yeah,
of course, as anyone would, but even I say, time for him to possibly step aside, retire, start letting a whole new, younger generation come in to start running the company.
Yeah, but I think part of the problem with that idea of trying to get kind of a new regime, one that would be more willing to listen to their fans and be more open to globalization, a lot of them don't really work at Nintendo. They usually work third-party companies that have a higher interest in that sort of thing. I mean, that's where you get your people like Inafune and Iga who want to try to expand their markets globally and are trying to get away from the Japan-centric mindset, whereas with Nintendo, it's kind of the case that they're in so deep of a comfort zone that they're probably not going to move from it anytime soon, and they know that.
Here's the thing, and I like having this little debate with people because a lot of people like to say, well, Nintendo has changed ever since the Nintendo 64 era. No, they haven't. No, that sense of control is still there. It just hasn't been as dominant because they've noticed that with their sense of control, there's been a little bit of a pushback. So, in a lot of cases, that mindset has never left. It's just now that they're back on top because of the Wii, well, they think that they can control every aspect of it. So that's kind of the problem. Thankfully, though, we don't have just bad news to talk about with Nintendo because, well, Evo is coming up, and we all know that Aldo and myself are big followers of the Evo. And it just so happened, I was actually kind of shocked to see this when you put it up, Aldo, that Smash Wii U is going to make it to Evo 2014 or 20. It's still
back in time, ladies and gentlemen.
Back in time.
It's going to be Melee and the Wii U version, right, Aldo?
I don't know. All I know is
I think that's what they were going to do because Melee is still the most balanced of them all, but they are going to feature.
It's the least balanced of them all, actually, in my opinion.
Melee is just really popular.
Melee just has really good technical play with Fox and Falco.
People love their wave dashing.
Yeah.
They do indeed, but we actually do now have the rules set up for the Wii U version of Smash Bros. Wii U, which there were a couple of things that kind of shocked me on that. I don't know about you, Aldo, but for one thing, the stage selection is really sparse.
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay. This is going to be one of those points where Adam kind of just goes off on a tangent, so be prepared. But last time I checked, when you play Smash, one of the things as a pro player you have to consider is using the stage against your opponents. And so it's surprising to me that the starter stages, even some of the counterpick stages, it's very sparse. I'm not seeing Brinstar, like any of the maps that you could hurt yourself on.
Well, even that, we're not even allowed all the Omega stages. I see no mention of Omega stages at all.
Well, looking at the article, they say the reason that some of the stages are sparse is because it was actually locked in by Nintendo, not because of any major tournament stuff, but because they're having some licensing issues with the music used on some of their stages.
I had heard that, and that's a little sad that they're having those issues. But again, one of the things I'm kind of noticing throughout all of these is stages that may be able to hurt you, but not really. Like Battlefield, Final Destination, Smashville. I think they're all pretty safe, where it's just only going to be player damage.
That's all it ever is. They always take out stages where you can do self-harm, where there's a lot of interaction going on.
Yeah, they take out the hazard stages.
They always take those out. That's not new.
That's the thing that has never made sense to me, because as a kind of as a pro concept, wouldn't that also be to use the stages to your advantage?
Nope, not in a professional setting where you want to go skill versus skill. That's why they also don't include any items, because you want to go pure player skill as opposed to any sort of luck.
Yeah, that's to keep people from complaining. It's to keep people from complaining. Like, say it was like a final match, and they were doing the jungle waterfall stage, for example. And if somebody just happens to get hit by one of the hazards on the jungle stage thing, and loses very early in the match, that could cause some problems for the people running the event.
Yeah, if it went to Sun and Death, that would make a little bit more sense to me, because one bad step and you're flying. So that would not work, but I don't know. The stage list is still pretty sparse.
Oh, it is still pretty sparse, and the fact that, like I said, there's no mention in here at all for the Omega stages because of the music, I guess, problem is also kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like an odd problem to have from Nintendo, where they can't allow streaming because of certain songs when it's like 90% of their franchises.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that's a little shocking to me, is that they're having music issues when, to my knowledge, a lot of this stuff is probably done in-house, or at least the rights are secured to be in-house.
Well, the other thing is, if Nintendo's sponsoring the tournament, why aren't they giving or making a special disc that has the rules and music locked out?
This is true.
Because you do have the option to decide which music tracks play on certain stages and things like that, and why not just move that in?
That is a very good point. I don't know why they aren't going that direction either. And
Probably because it would be a bit expensive. That's probably the rationale they would use. Because
Yeah.
I remember back with the NES, they had those NES tournament cartridges, and although they could do it, it's kind of the case of how many of those tournament discs would you make, and how much of a profit would you really see? Because Evo's not the only Smash tournament. There would be a lot of Smash tournaments both in the U.S. as well as in other countries, and so it's kind of a case of, do we have to make one for every single region?
Right, but at the same time, you could also make a Nintendo tournament save file, and they email or they give that save file via, like, I don't know, something stupid like Dropbox, just as an example.
Well,
You download that save file, you put on the SD card, and you make sure that they all have all that stuff unlocked.
well,
Or
I think a better
those
way.
settings moved on.
I think a better way they could do it is kind of what they do with pinball machines, where you can trigger the tournament modes, and so it could just be something that it could be done as a patch, just as something that you put in the games that you sell normally, and it just is a case of, oh, activate such and such tournament mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the example that can come to my mind, at least with some other companies, I mean, where they can bring in a build and they'll be there to advertise anyway. Because, I mean, like Evo, Street Fighter people are going to be there to talk about it. Because usually, like, when they have a character announcement, they do save something for Evo to announce. So it's just a little surprising that Nintendo hasn't come up with, like, a little loophole, give a build over to Nintendo of America and let them oversee. That actually is kind of the surprising part, is like there isn't a Nintendo overseer on any of this. It's completely Evo, at least the way that I understood the whole thing. So that may be the way that they do it.
No, it's Nintendo. It's definitely Nintendo. It's not Evo's decision, apparently. Because as far as Evo goes, I don't think they usually care about these type of rules. I mean, Evo did get in trouble last year because Nintendo shut down their stream.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's that. The other thing that's really interesting to note is that Nintendo's official game, I guess, match rules are different than the standard Melee rules.
They are.
Melee rules are usually 3 stock and 8 minutes.
Yeah, because I think the Melee rules are also kind of reflecting of the Wii U rules, too. So now it's basically the settings are 2 stock of lives.
Yeah.
You have at least with the Wii U version, I think it's a bigger one on Melee, you have a 5-minute time limit, and it's best 2 out of 3. Also, the winning player is not locked into the same character for the next match, but has to pick before the loser selects a character. That's hard to watch. And then you may not choose a stage you have already won on. So, like, if you won on Battlefield, you could not pick it again unless it's mutually agreed on.
Yeah.
So that's... I don't remember them ever cracking down on rules like that with Melee when it first hit Evo, but...
No, but those rules slowly defined themselves. They didn't come out like this in its time. I think it took at least 2 or 3 years before those became the standard rules that Melee used.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, nonetheless, I'm still excited because I want to see the Wii U version competitive. I still want to see the Melee tournament, and I probably will make some time, but I'm definitely going to want to watch the Wii U tournament and see who shows up for 3000.
I'm just really happy they cut down on the stock and the time, because the problem with Melee tournaments is that they're long, and they are hard and tedious to watch.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, 5 minutes is still pretty long. I mean,
it still is, but...
I think the main match one is a 3-minute time limit, or something like that. 5 minutes seems a little long to me.
No, I don't know.
But, yeah, so... Obviously, we're excited for it. I'm waiting on other game announcements because the Evo list right now is kind of sparse. But as soon as we got those, and hopefully maybe we can work out some stuff for some Evo coverage. I don't know.
I think the Evo list actually just came up a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, if you care for it, I can list you off the Evo list real fast.
Yeah, please do.
With Ultra Street Fighter 4, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Smash Bros. Wii U, Guilty Gear Xrd, Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat X,
yes,
Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, Smash Melee, and Tekken 7.
That's actually kind of surprising that we're getting Mortal Kombat X.
and Tekken 7.
Yeah,
Since those games will be fresh off the presses.
but people haven't been able to train on them.
Nope.
That's the thing.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
but that
well.
might be even just part of it. It's like a level playing field. Nobody's had access to the games.
This is true, and I think Microsoft tried to do something similar like this when Killer Instinct was being expected, but since nobody had really any access, and it was so different from what people were expecting in Killer Instinct, they just said, no, we're not going to do it. We'll wait till the game's released, and then we'll do tournaments with it.
Whereas Mortal Kombat, the movesets, I'd assume, would be fairly the same from character to character.
Not necessarily. I know that they've changed a lot of the movesets for characters in
More than
Mortal Kombat 9.
Well, apart from that, they also have all the multiple setups where each character has 3 different game styles to use. So you can have Scorpion do a lot of teleportation moves, you can have him be a heavy assault attacker, or you can do like Trickster with fire and zoning. So each character has 3 different movesets that they're allowed.
Yeah, so, I mean, anything can really change in that. But I do know that, like, for example, some of the movesets that were widely well-known, like Sub-Zero's, I think, was one of them, they have changed from Mortal Kombat to Mortal Kombat 9. But I guess we'll see when we actually get there. I actually would be interested in the Mortal Kombat X one as long as fatalities are... Man, those are gruesome fatalities, I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and get into the next story here, which should have some people excited because we're going to be talking Rare, but not really. We're not going to be talking about the Microsoft Rare because, well, yeah, that's going belly up because Microsoft won't let them do anything. But thankfully, we have maybe another answer in Playtonic Studios, which we didn't know this, but apparently is being hosted by a bunch of old Rare developers. Specifically, we have people who worked on the teams for Donkey Kong Country, for Banjo-Kazooie, and Viva Pinata, all part of Playtonic. And Playtonic, I'm actually kind of surprised. I looked around to see if maybe they had a Kickstarter or something like that going, but they have announced that they want to make the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. Now, I can already see the first question coming out from Rare fans. No, it can't be connected. You can't have a Banjo-Kazooie reference in a game that is not Microsoft-owned. So at this point, it would pretty much be, the literal term, spiritual successor. It would be as far from, but still have kind of the same key gameplay elements you like.
Yeah, they probably could have veiled references, but nothing overt. Kind of like how Assassin's Creed, I think it was Assassin's Creed 2 had a Mario reference, but it was but it was not an overt. Well, I guess it was kind of overt since it was fairly obvious, but they didn't use any imagery. It was just a line.
What's wrong with me? You don't recognize me? It's me, Mario. That's the reference.
Yeah, and so they could probably do something like that, where in the legal definitions it's not like using any actual content, but it would still be kind of a reference that people would think, oh, I get what they're referring to, basically.
Yeah, if people are expecting Banjo-Kazooie music, that ain't happening. At the very most, I think that they could get away with is, like, in this new world setting, there's a cuddly little bear, but he doesn't look anything like Banjo, but it just so happens maybe he says a few things Banjo used to say.
Or maybe it would probably be like a cuddly little baby bear that he just happens to be next to a bird egg.
Exactly. You could do the whole prequel thing. But yeah, you can't just immediately allude to it. Now, they have said that they do want to include, or I believe that they want to include, I've seen back and forth where Grant Kirkhope, they want to bring him into the project, who is the original music developer for Banjo-Kazooie, and for the first 2 Donkey Kong Country games, I know that.
Well, he also did Donkey Kong 64 as well.
Yes.
But no, Adam, he didn't do Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. Kirkhope didn't, anyway.
He didn't? Okay.
No.
I know he did, but he did Banjo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, at that point, a spiritual successor is wonderful, and they have actually said, they did get asked the platform that they would like to deliver it to. They said Nintendo. They liked working with Nintendo when they did in the past, and so if Nintendo would have this spiritual successor, they'd be more than happy to bring them this title. So let me just kind of bring it open to the table here, because I'm not, like, I've seen the end of Banjo-Kazooie 1, but I cannot consider myself a Banjo-Kazooie fan. Because I haven't done 2 yet, and apparently I have to know that before I'm a fan. At least that's what my wife tells me. So, at that point, to the rare fans who have wanted to see a Banjo 3E, or anything like that, or maybe just even a return to old rare form, is this good news to you? Is this bad news?
Shut up and take my money.
Yes, please. Wait, no, you can give me the money now. I have no problem taking your money.
Yeah. You're not getting a penny out of me, Adam.
Damn it!
Save it for the poker game, people. Save it for the poker game.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward. I'm interested to see what they'll take with this. I've wanted Banjo 3E for a long time, and certainly I'd love to see if we can get kind of something very much in the vein of a Banjo game. I mean, they're even calling it Project Ukulele. That alone says, yep, they're on track, all right.
Yeah, I actually was kind of surprised that it wasn't called, like, since it's a spiritual successor, Project Banjo, but maybe that would have set off a couple of red flags.
I would have loved to have seen, like, Project Bear and Bird.
Something like that, yeah, because you could do something as obscure as that and nothing comes to you.
Yeah, or maybe they would just probably call it, like, Project Lucid Dream or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just love it when Romney switches back over to Reggie. He is not pleased with that name.
You know what the weird thing is? Romney has like this almost uncanny similarity to Reggie Fils-Aimé. That transition is kind of seamless.
Yeah.
I've been told this, but I haven't seen it. Is your body ready, Romney?
No.
Okay.
I just want to play the Biggest Loser jingle, right? The losing jingle. The wow 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 wow.
Yep. So, to me, this is a good idea, because I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I don't see Microsoft's Rare doing something like this. I really don't see Microsoft giving them enough free rein to do so.
No.
So, in a lot of cases, like where Alex was saying, "Take my money," I mean, that's why I was looking for a Kickstarter or something to that effect. Because, man, if this was crowdfunded, that'd be awesome. Because at that point, it would be something that could be a successor. But I couldn't find one. So, Romney or Aldo, do you have any thoughts on the return of a Banjo-Kazooie-esque game?
Well, to be honest, I don't really have that much nostalgia attached to Rare games. I mean, I didn't play any of the Donkey Kong Country games, nor did I play any of the Banjo-Kazooie games. I think the only Rare game that I played was Star Fox Adventures.
Okay.
A game that JonTron said was horrible, but yet I don't agree.
Well, it's not perfect. It could have been better, but a lot of the problems that the game had were mainly a result of time running out because of the buyout by Microsoft. And so it was basically they had to throw together what they had left at the very end. I mean, the world was imaginative. I do like the idea of exploring these other planets as Fox. It could have worked out a little bit better. Or at the very least, I would have preferred to have seen it as Dinosaur Planet instead of as a Star Fox game.
The only complaint that I ever had on the title was the ending, because I was actually kind of happy that the Star Fox universe was expanding, that it wasn't just going to be Andross the entire time.
And then it was Andross at the very end, out of the freaking blue. I mean, especially with what they lead up, like, oh, the god is actually evil. Oh, it's actually Andross. Oh, Falco's back, and I'm just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, for a Zelda engine, it's not that bad a game. So to all the people that give crap to it, it plays very well.
Although I do agree, Tricky was annoying.
Tricky was indeed annoying, but Zelda has also had some mechanics that were also indeed annoying.
But at the very least, you didn't have to feed Navi or Midna mushrooms, though.
No, you didn't, and I'll agree on that.
The only other Rare game I actually had any moderate interest in, though, was Perfect Dark, but I never got the chance to play that one, so...
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I remember playing the first two not Banjo, but Donkey Kong Country games. I avoided 3 mainly because I didn't know it existed for the longest time. And then Donkey Kong 64, everybody told me to avoid because it takes way too much time to complete, especially if you want like the secret ending. And all the other Rare games that came out on N64 era, I kind of avoided. Not because I thought they were bad or anything like that, but mainly because either A, I didn't know about them till much, much, much later, or that is definitely not walking into the house, i.e. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
I was not going to walk into the house that I was living in.
Yeah, same here. I think actually I do remember one other Rare game I played, and that was Diddy Kong Racing, and that's about it.
Yes, and Diddy Kong Racing was fun. I will acknowledge that.
I like the overworld hub, although the elephant.
Betty! Yeah, I know.
On that note, not to knock on Conker fans or anything, but I do hope this won't be like another Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
Oh, that I am not on this boat because I would love it if I don't know somebody made Conker's.
I haven't played it, but I've watched a Let's Play, and that looked like a fun game.
It is. Oh, just the humor. The humor is so raunchy, but at times it just really makes fun of the game. I guess game design of the time, but that's a whole other thing.
So, although while you're talking here,
Yes.
What are your thoughts on a spiritual successor to Banjo?
I'm excited. I miss platformers because we have a lot of games that are not platform. We have a lot of shooting games now.
Yes.
As opposed to 15 years ago when we had a lot of platformers.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, shooters have become kind of the dominant genre of gaming, whereas platformers used to own that title.
Yeah, and
But
so
platformers and fighters.
Yeah, fighters. But like I don't know, I've been playing through the Sly Cooper games, and those have been just a blast again because they're just fun platformers with not a dark, brooding story, and just kind of lightheartedness. So it'll be fun. I'd like to see what specifically they bring in from Banjo-Kazooie. What sort of mechanics they bring in specifically from Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, as long as they're innovative with it, I don't really care. I mean, I'm at least ecstatic for it. I mean,
my question is,
life's going to kill me, but I am going to say this right off the top of my head. Going through Banjo 1, I thought it was very pleasant. I thought it was actually a really, like a breath of fresh air, especially in this atmosphere where there's nothing but shooters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope the main protagonist is like a panda with a crane on his back.
Well, to be honest, what I kind of would hope to see from a game like this, then maybe if they try to go to some of the stuff that they initially had with Project Dream, I don't know, something like maybe some sort of like pirate-based adventure, maybe. I mean,
well, I mean that was one of the prototype ideas for Banjo, wasn't it?
well, yeah, Project Dream was initially going to be an RPG that was using the graphics they used in Donkey Kong Country, kind of the idea of the pre-made 3D models as sprites. And that's where one of the pirate characters that appears in Banjo-Kazooie 2, Banjo-Tooie, comes from, and that's where he has the line of, I had a game once, but then a bear stole it from me.
Oh, thanks for spoiling that, Ron, because Adam and I are going to be LPing that game real soon, and I wanted to be all kid and like,
I actually didn't know
did you know that line?
I actually did know that they did that reference. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I looked it up after I saw Captain Black Eye and Banjo, so sorry, dude.
Well, yeah. But I don't know, something like that might be worth kind of making. I mean, because that's even the same case. Pirates kind of make for a pretty good example. Pirate stuff's supposed to be kind of fun, but even they've been kind of given the dark and gritty treatment.
Oh, yes. I mean, I still remember when the ideas that came out of LucasArts and Monkey Island were considered innovative because it wasn't a fantasy, and it wasn't a futuristic, and it wasn't a modern setting. It was pirates.
Yeah.
And they actually tried to not do a gritty setting.
Yeah, who knows? We don't know anything about the project aside from its name, so
nope.
Who knows?
But here's hoping we see like I would like to see a Kickstarter of this or something like that, because I think if this was crowdfunded, that would be just all the better.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of what they did with A Hat in Time, although it wasn't like connected to anybody from Rare except for Grant Kirkhope, because that game was trying to be kind of the successor. I don't know what if it succeeded or not though.
That game even come out yet?
I'm not sure. Last I heard about it was like a couple years ago in a Gaijin Guma video.
That's I heard about it. And I've seen like some people had like demos that were showing off for the public, and yeah, but I haven't seen anything on that game since, which is a shame because I'd like to play that A Hat in Time. That looks fun.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and move on to the next story here, because we're actually running out of time for the tech stories, but this one I did actually want to give a little bit of coverage. So Alex actually found this out, and unfortunately we can't go to the link that he provided, but Mighty Number 9, which I would really like to play, and I got into the Kickstarter way too late. I can't seem to get a demo of it or anything like that. But we
that was
actually
actually me.
What was that?
I think that one was actually me.
No, I found the dubcast for Mighty.
Well, yeah, he found it
did you?
first, but then you found the
Oh,
article.
okay. Never mind. That's yeah,
The
never
original
mind.
one.
I copied it from
Something
him and I
else.
put it somewhere else. My bad. My bad.
So yeah, Mighty Number 9, they have announced their English dub cast, which there are actually a lot of familiar faces and names attached to this, and some of which I'm so glad that they are part of the kind of this starting project, because, well, this could be a lasting property. We don't know. So first of all, let's kind of go down the list here. Yuri Lowenthal will be playing Beck, or Mighty Number 9. I actually didn't realize that I knew Yuri Lowenthal until I actually looked up some of his stuff on, not IMDb, but like Anime News Network and stuff like that. He's done a lot of roles that I didn't realize.
Yeah, he was Sasuke.
Yes, he is awesome. He was also Byakuya Kuchiki in Bleach.
Yep.
I know him as Saseo in Dot Hack.
Yes.
I know him
Oh, yeah.
as the two roles I mainly know him as are Alucard and Cecil from Final Fantasy IV. Those are the two roles that come to my mind.
That's right, because he was part of the voice cast for the DS version.
He was also the prince from Prince of Persia, like the original like platform
The
3D.
Sands of
trilogy.
Time, I assume. Because original didn't have any voice acting.
No, I know. That's why I fixed myself into original 3D Prince of
I'm kind of
Persia.
glad you did that reference, because now when people can look back and say when I said the whole time is or whatever, they can go, ha! I was referencing that when I really wasn't.
No.
Yeah, we have Yuri Lowenthal, and then again, I have not been able to play the demo, so people will probably murder me, but all the mighty numbers, I'm guessing, are the Robot Masters equivalent in this game.
Yeah.
They are the bosses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some interesting people playing them. Matt Mercer will be playing Mighty Number 1, Pyrogen. Paige King will be playing Mighty Number 2, Cryosphere. It's a Mega Man game, and there are women.
What?
Like,
What?
a lot of people go,
What?
Jan Johns will be playing Mighty Number 3, Dynatron. I love these names, by the way. These are awesome. Fred Tatassior, I think I'm saying his
No,
name right.
Testashore.
Testashore, is playing Mighty Number 4, Seismic. Brian T. Delaney is Mighty Number 5, Battalion. Mick Wingert is Mighty Number 6, Aviator. J.P. Karliak is Mighty Number 7, Brandish. And if anybody was surprised by this one, don't be, because Mighty Number 8, Countershade, is the one, the only Stephen Bloom.
Also known as Tom from Toonami.
Or Spike.
Yes.
Or Spike.
Or
But wait,
Spike.
no, Tom from Toonami, that was Sunny Strayed.
No, he took him on the later years.
Yeah,
Ah,
He replaced Sonny.
the new Tom is Steve Bloom.
I see.
So,
Ooh,
like, all the
for
adapted
I
stuff
remember.
for Adult Swim, that's the Steve Bloom Tom.
I see.
But I just kind of looked at that and went, oh yeah, the dark, brooding character, Stephen Bloom's playing him.
Oh, also, Mighty Number 4, the Seismic, the big heavy-duty guy, voiced by
AKA
the Hulk.
Gunsman.
Yep, voiced by the Hulk. That's what Fred
Yes.
Testashore does.
And also, I believe Zeratul is his name, or I believe he's the guy who plays Zeratul in the StarCraft games. I'm not
Probably. I don't
100%
know.
on that. But we also have a couple of other sub-characters. These names I wasn't as familiar with. So we have Julie Nathanson, Jason Spizak, Dave Wittenberg, Scott White, and Bob Joles. Now they have anime credits to them, I believe. At least a few of them do, but nothing I could remember.
Do you remember?
So I really do think that the biggest voices here are probably Fred, Steve Bloom, and Yuri Lowenthal.
Well, Adam, do you remember Sora from Dot Hack?
Yes, I remember Sora from Dot Hack.
Yeah, that's Dave Wittenberg.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you were happy by that?
Yes, and Steve Bloom and Yuri Lowenthal. So
I was really happy with Fred Testature. That's my personal favorite.
great cast all around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will
don't know
tell you
most of
right
them,
here
but-
and now, though, like there are images on this story. Although I don't know if you noticed that, these mighty numbers are pretty freaking awesome.
Oh yeah.
In their design. Because we have. It looks like Dynatron was not the Fred Testaciore. This guy looks like Guts Man. I mean, these really do kind of look like a play on some of the more favorite Mega Man robot masters. So this is really kind of playing into Keiji Inafune's legacy.
Steve Bloombots though, his counter shade, that character looks great.
I love it. Here's the funniest part is like I saw this image before this because I was able to look up some Mighty Number 9 stuff. I looked at that and went, "That's Stephen Bloom's character right there." If they cast Stephen Bloom, he's playing that one. And then I looked at the cast list. Stephen Bloom. That's who he's playing. Dude, I swear, Stephen Bloom could be the Dan LaFontaine of this age. He's got that deep enough voice to do it in a world. So really, that's kind of the most that we can talk about on this story. But yay, Mighty Number 9 has an English dubcast, which means it's almost ready to come here. I'm so excited. So let's go ahead and get into the next story here, which is one that some of us will be able to talk about. I actually would argue that all of us can talk about it, which is that one of our favorite game designers just barely got the GDC Lifetime Achievement Award, and that would be one Hironobu Sakaguchi. So, the 15th Annual Game Developers Choice Awards has decided to honor Hironobu Sakaguchi with this Lifetime Achievement Award. He is the creator of the best-selling Final Fantasy series, as well as a lot of the Square RPGs at that point. He's also the founder and president of Mistwalker, so he's still doing some work.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the stuff that people know him from is Square. In fact, if you are a very big fan of Tetsuya Nomura's work, well, guess who Tetsuya was learning from before he became the big guy? That would be Hironobu. So this is a very wonderful concept here. I'm so happy that we're finally honoring, at least as far as I'm concerned, one of the kings of RPGs with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, I would like to bounce this in here just to get people's opinions on it, like your favorite Sakaguchi game that you've ever been able to play, but I'm not limiting it to just the Final Fantasy series. He's done lots of stuff.
That's a tough one.
I was actually thinking
So
about
I actually am going to get people to start thinking about that. You can mention a Final Fantasy game, I don't care. I, for one, will mention one because, well, one of my favorite games to play with him, like, I know that people who watch my Let's Plays could actually say, go for the obvious one because I'm playing one of my more favorite games, but I'm actually going to say Final Fantasy IX is one of my favorites because I still go back to that, and it's just like it's coming back to childhood. It really is, because it's all the things that I loved about Final Fantasy before 7 happened, and now we have to do nothing but future. So that would be my pick, Final Fantasy IX, or if I'm actually allowed the nostalgia goggles, Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah.
All people that I can see raising their hand. No, 4's good. All right, Romney, what would be your favorite Sakaguchi game?
Well, it's a tough choice, but it's kind of, I'm going to narrow it down to the top 2. So one of the top 2, Final Fantasy IX. The other one, I would have to say, would be Lost Odyssey. Because it was nice to see kind of a lot of the Final Fantasy trappings being applied to something new that was outside of it. And with Lost Odyssey, it allowed it to go back to kind of more of the fantasy setting instead of going to the steampunk futuristic setting. Although there were steampunk elements, it definitely had more of a fantasy flair to it. And just the world building in that game I mean, yeah, I did fall asleep while playing it a couple of times because some of the dungeons were really long in the middle. But some of like Kaim's memories, a lot of those segments, and just the way the characters and kind of and everything developed, it was really fascinating. I mean, the only problem is that the middle got kind of boring, and there were some side quests that were kind of eh. But for the most part, I liked just kind of how it took a lot of the same trappings and just told something kind of new and different. Yeah, it's a typical JRPG. Yes, it has a lot of cliches, although not as many as the last story, in my opinion. But Final Fantasy IX and The Lost Odyssey would have to be my top two Sakaguchi games.
Well, and here's the thing too is I haven't played Lost Odyssey, but a lot of people recommend it to me because it is very, or at least to them, it's filled with a lot of Sakaguchi tropes. So this actually kind of has reinforced that. I might have to pick up Lost Odyssey at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just be careful. Yeah, there's some dungeons that will put you to sleep, though. I do have to warn you now.
All right, well, that's fair warning. Alex, your favorite Sakaguchi game, and you're the kind of the one where I would almost think you would say, I've never played one. Yes, you have.
Yeah. I'm looking at his whole gamography. I played 2 games that he's been a part of. One is, of course, Chrono Trigger, and
Yes.
the other Xenogears. And well, Chrono Trigger would be, of course, my favorite.
Sakaguchi was part of that?
Yeah.
Xenogears?
Well,
I was kind of surprised by that.
He did design work, and he was a supervisor.
Nice. All right. Well, I wish I would have known that because I probably would have included it. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is not really a surprise to me because you love that game.
I do. I love that game.
Aldo, your favorite Hironobu Sakaguchi game?
So I do have to give him props for being, I think he was executive producer on the Kingdom Hearts series.
Yes.
But the game that I really enjoyed from him was Parasite Eve. If you guys had even played that, that was a 98 PlayStation only game.
Refresh my memory here. Was he attached to the second one?
To the second one,
I don't know if he was because it was the 2 was a major departure from 1.
He was in 1, but he was the executive producer for number 2, but he wasn't directly involved in it. He did the concept for Parasite Eve 1.
Yes, and I actually am kind of happy you brought that one up because I like it, but it's still got a lot of elements that freak me out. I still can't do the movie. I still can't do it.
It's one of those games that I regret every day because I let a friend borrow it, and I've never seen it back ever.
Oh.
So it's a game I have to hunt down, and it's gonna be a pain. But it is one of my favorite, as you could call it, an RPG game / a horror game. It's a bit of both.
Yeah. It's a good one. I mean, its plot is a little weird when you get into there, but the visuals are enough to keep you freaking out in some aspects of it.
And the thing I never realized for like the longest time until I was looking to buy a copy to replace the copy I had lost was that it was a sequel to a book by the same name, Parasite Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, that explains why. That explains a lot.
Yeah, and I think the Parasite Eve movie follows the book more than the game. Like a lot of people who have recommended the movie to me have said, if you're looking for like a retelling of the game, you're not going to get it.
Right.
So that is actually an interesting one. Although I'm kind of glad you brought that up. But I was actually going to bring up to you. So have you gotten it on PS3?
What?
Parasite Eve is available there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a PS1 classic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I hadn't even looked at it. I'll have to.
Yeah, it's like $5. So
Yeah.
you could probably do that.
I know what I'm gonna let's play now.
Yay! No, seriously, I do want somebody to take that on because some of the Let's Plays that have been done of Parasite Eve are kind of old. I thought about doing it, but then I have to justify it to this guy, and we already have a lot of horror stuff set up, so I don't know if I want to push the envelope a little bit. So yeah, unfortunately, that is it for the tech stories. But now we get to have some fun when we talk about the entertainment stories of this week. So a lot of this is actually going to be carrying over from last week, but that's just because we couldn't avoid these stories. We really couldn't. So, no, they have to be talked about. And we're starting off with... A lot of people aren't going to like my opinion on this one. So, Zelda is possibly going to become a Netflix series. Let me rephrase that. A live-action Netflix series. That's kind of my reaction, Romney.
Yeah.
Now,
just...
here's the thing. I'm not penalizing Netflix. I think they're fine. I've watched a good portion of their programming, and I am excited for Daredevil coming out this year, and what they're going to be doing with the Marvel Universe. But it's more the climate of this current media, where I'm worried that The Legend of Zelda would be kind of destroyed by it. Because I don't know, because you'd have to make it darker, at least from some standpoint, and I don't know if I want a darker Zelda. I like the fact that Link is a genuine hero through and through, and he's stuck with that for many, many years.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that I'm not saying don't do it. Netflix, by all means. If you think you can do it, go for it. But I am a little worried.
Yeah, what doesn't help with the worry is the fact that, like, oh, we're hoping to make a Game of Thrones for the family.
Yeah, that was the other thing that kind of made me a little worried. Because, look, I love me some Peter Dinklage, but Game of Thrones for the family?
Can we get Peter Dinklage as a Deku scrub?
Why a Deku scrub?
Because he's short.
No, to be honest, though, if we were to cast Peter Dinklage in something, he'd probably do well as the voice of the Deku Tree, if anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to take like one of the more fabled elements of the Hyrule universe and put him there, like the Deku Tree, or the other thing that came to my mind is like if you're gonna have like a Rauru kind of character,
yeah, or Sarastrola maybe,
something like that, like an exposition character, then you would need to go that way. So obviously, although you are excited about it, so sell it to me.
I'm cautiously excited about it.
Okay.
And I do dislike their description of using Game of Thrones for the family because that is a terrible, terrible way to pitch anything to anybody ever.
They're probably going to be using a lot of fairies if they're going to go through that idea.
Well, and what's really sad is like the article later actually kind of says like a family-oriented Lord of the Rings, so it's not as like hardcore into the violence and all that.
See, and that's in my opinion, that's a much better description than saying
yes.
Lord of the Rings is more about the adventure than it is the politics, and Game of Thrones is way too about the politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing to keep in mind is that it is an adventure story. And so comparing it to Lord of the Rings is a lot easier to do. I don't know where they got Game of Thrones from. I really don't.
It's mainly because it's popular and it's a fantasy series. That's pretty much the only reason they said Game of Thrones for the family.
Yeah.
Although Peter Dinklage in a Zelda series would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Dinklage just tingle. Oh, please.
Nah.
No. He would
say,
I'm putting the time on that one.
Yeah, he would not
denigrate Peter Dinklage.
But you know,
as an actor, Peter Dinklage would like say no outright to that sort of role.
Right. No, but the thing is, like, so it was a little. I was more wary about it. I was probably on your guys' level of worried when I first heard about this. But then it was like, you know, it's a series, which means the problem with movie adaptations of video games is that you can't cover a whole video game story in 2 hours. But with a series, you are given that time. Even though the problem is a lot of that time, especially with Zelda games, isn't actual plot. It's just puzzles and dungeon crawling.
Well, and the other thing too is, you know, at this point, would you actually connect the Netflix series to the timeline? And I would actually say don't.
Oh yeah, I would say don't. I'd say take it almost a Hyrule Warriors type of route. Come up with your own story. Take elements from everything.
Let this Legend of Zelda series tell its own story.
Yeah.
I think that would be the way to do it. Because, I mean, you're exactly right. Most of the gameplay in Zelda is puzzles, which is not going to play very well to a TV series. So you're going to have to do something a little bit more story-oriented with a series. And I actually would like them to push the envelope a little bit and do something unique with it. But when you say, like, Game of Thrones for a family audience, that really bothers me.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I'm excited because I want to. I don't know. I feel like my excitement for this will be directly related to everything that happens, starting with Daredevil.
Yes.
Once I see Daredevil and I see what Netflix allows and what they can accomplish, that'll kind of set my real starting excitement for this. But so far, they're still looking for a writer, and it's one of those things where, like, as soon as I see that name and as soon as I see their background, then I guess I'll be a little bit more wary or more excited.
Yeah, exactly. It really just depends on who they hire.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, is where I'm gonna wait until I actually know who they're bringing in to write it and to direct it, because that's gonna more or less be what makes or breaks it. The main thing I'm worried about is that I'm afraid that they might try to just make it into something like Legend of the Seeker, which wasn't that great of a show. Sorry, Legend of the Seeker fans, but personally, I didn't really like it.
Well, I am a fan of it, but at the same time, I will also make the claim that between it and the books, there's a difference.
Well, yeah, and it's just kind of the cheapness of the show is what I mean. Yeah, it's a Renaissance films. It's kind of like Xena and Hercules, which they in and of themselves hasn't aged particularly well. But at the start of the season, after he completed his quest, that's where I just lost interest. I mean, he defeated the main villain. They're trying to find a new seeker. Just,
Yeah, Alex. So you are the Nintendo fan that has not played Zelda, but a series. Now, here's the thing: you don't have all of this Zelda continuity bogging your mind or anything like that. Would this series be a motivator for you to go look into at least the series itself?
I have no interest in this in the prospect of a live-action Zelda series. I think it's going to be awful. I don't see.
I'm worried about.
I don't see good things coming out of this whatsoever. I think it's stupid to do Zelda live action. Here's a better idea. Instead of a Zelda live action, how about a Zelda anime? I mean, we had those nice little anime cutscenes at E3 last year. What became of those? Those were so nice. They were nice and pretty and nice and animated and nicely polished as far as I'm concerned. Do that instead. Don't do Zelda in a live action film.
well,
We also have all the Legend of Zelda mangas, which we could just straight transfer to an anime.
Yeah.
I actually like Alex's idea. An anime would look so much better.
well, yeah, but that would depend though. Would you be going by the Himekawa manga or the Ishinomori manga?
Oh, what's the one that was in the box set?
Well, the box set is the Himekawa manga that I have right behind me, but then there's also the Shotaro Ishinomori Link to the Past manga as well.
See, I never read those. I read the other ones, but
Well,
But yeah,
we could hodgepodge stories out of each of them, I guess, scenarios out of each of them. I mean,
But
granted,
I will agree that a Zelda animated series is a little bit more plausible to me than a live action series.
Yeah, on the same note, I'd be willing to see a live action series if it's done right.
Yeah.
Because even animated shows, as we've all observed with the Legend of Zelda animated series, even that is not necessarily a good thing.
yeah.
Yes.
Of course,
I
it could be
also-
just.
I also want to know how involved Nintendo is going to be. What chains are they going to be pulling?
That's also a good question. How much involved is Nintendo going to be? And since Zelda's one of their peak franchises, I could really see them getting their claws into it.
Considering how bad of an experience they had with the Super Mario Brothers movie, I think they want to take that lesson learned and actually really be in the editorial room here.
I'd just like to say I'm very proud of Alex right now because he didn't go to the reference that I thought he was going to go to, and that's a good thing.
Excuse me, Adam.
Yeah, to be honest, my opinion is that they're probably thinking, oh yeah, we're going to do a series, but it's probably not set in stone yet. It's kind of probably in a similar facet with the Super Mario Brothers movie that Sony wants to do, where Netflix is trying to find a writer and a director and wants to put together a pitch that they want to show to Nintendo and hopefully get approval. So that's probably more or less what we're looking at. I mean, if they said no to Emagi, which I can kind of see why, the chances are Nintendo's probably not going to sign off on it, at least based on past experiences. Maybe they might change their mind, maybe they might not, who knows.
I don't know. But let's go ahead and get into the next story here, because this one is kind of out of the blue, and I believe it was Romney that put in the link here.
Yep.
And it just blew my mind, because I can already tell you at least one family member that would have been totally stoked if he'd known about it, which he didn't. So apparently to major Geek fans, and I know that a lot of geeks have actually read this book series, there was a pilot that aired on The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Except it aired at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And so people weren't able to see it. I don't know why they did that. They put it in the middle of the night. But it was supposed to be setting up a series that was going to be a prologue to the first book, The Eye of the World. And it was going to set up the characters. I believe they were actually going to do a little bit more exposition with some of the characters that haven't gotten a spotlight in the series, and they aired it, and obviously nobody watched. So
they didn't even advertise this either. Just, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Nope. The first thing that I did was, one of my family members, I won't say which, is a hardcore Wheel of Time fan. And if he'd known about this, he would have watched it. But the first thing I did was like, have you seen it? Seen what? The Wheel of Time pilot. There was a Wheel of Time pilot? Yeah, it aired at like 4 in the morning on said channel. What the crap? Because he would have supported it. Especially like when I gave him this article, and he looked at it and went, this is interesting to me. Why on earth did it not air, and why did it not get advertising?
Yeah, from the looks of it, according to the article, I think the biggest problem is that it was made without permission from the estate of Robert Jordan, and that's why they had to air it at night. And it's not even like the network is going to do it. Basically, somebody rented a chunk of time from FXX, similar to how you would put up a late-night infomercial, and use that time to air the pilot.
Yes, and that's one of the things that kind of bothers me on the matter, is that it looks like the Jordan estate was not consulted on this pilot even being made.
Yeah, they didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, so at that point it would have been a great idea to let them know, because there is a designated author that is going to, if he hasn't already, going to finish The Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I think they did finish the series.
Yeah, the book series I believe is finished, but I wanted to make sure, because every time I think it's finished, then I go talk to my family member, and it's like, oh yeah, I have like the first 10 pages of the next book. It's like, how are you getting this? And please, can I get one? Actually, I don't know, because I'm on book 3, and I'm lost in the Wheel of Time. But it's a little disappointing to me that you didn't consult the author, and therefore maybe even bring in this other writer who was determined to be kind of the right person to finish the series. So it would have been a great idea to bring him in as a writer for a TV series, especially if you're going to do a pilot for it. I mean, this is like the pinnacle of geek. I know tons of geeks who have read this book series. If there's any book series, at least to my knowledge, that rivals The Lord of the Rings, it's this. And yet, nothing. So it's a little surprising to me. It looks like it was Red Eagle Entertainment that did it. They're calling it Winter Dragon. So yeah. I don't know. It's a little weird that this happened, but and if people actually watched it, let us know in the comments below. I actually want to get some people's opinions on the matter and see if it was at least good enough that the Jordan estate would have no problem with it.
Well, yeah. According to the article, it says that the people who made it had the rights to it, but they were about to expire, which is why they went and made the pilot, is because they had the rights to do a Wheel of Time series, but they were about to run out, at least according to this. And again, it says that the CEO was very careful about what he said, but it was kind of a read between the lines sort of thing.
Okay, yeah. So, but I'm just going to kind of open it up. A Wheel of Time pilot in this day and age, like with Game of Thrones out there, would we actually want to do the Wheel of Time? I think a series would be awesome. Because there's so much to do. You can't do the Wheel of Time, as far as I'm concerned, in movie format. Like, I'm surprised Tolkien was done in movie format, at least the way it was. There's no way you could get that to happen with Jordan. It's not.
Yeah, and I can see why the property would be highly valued. I mean, given how popular Game of Thrones is, I'm surprised networks like FFX, which I'm guessing is a subsidiary of Fox. I wouldn't blame them for wanting to jump on it, because if anything could compete with Game of Thrones, it would be that franchise. I haven't read it personally, but from a business standpoint, I can kind of see the appeal of the property and what they would be hoping to accomplish with a series.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. I mean, one of the things that kind of worries me about doing a TV series, the Wheel of Time series is very convoluted, very wordy, but this would be one of those great ways to get people involved in the book series, because you'd have to, in some essence, you'd have to dumb it down a little bit so that it could be explained. So at that point, you would be able to bring in more fans, because I can guarantee the Lord of the Rings fans that I know that have not read Wheel of Time would be interested in Wheel of Time. If it cut down to its bare essentials, they would be. Alex, would you actually watch a Wheel of Time pilot or a TV series, given this atmosphere for like Game of Thrones and whatnot?
I've not even seen Game of Thrones, but you know what? If it's on a network that I have access to, I'd give it a shot.
I mean, you know the book series, right?
Yes, I know.
Have you read it at all, or?
No, I've not read it.
Okay, yeah, it's like 16 books, man. It's kind of daunting.
Yeah, and the books are huge.
Yes, they really are. Aldo, are you a Wheel of Time fan? Would you actually step in on a TV pilot if you actually knew that it was coming out?
No and no. I haven't even watched Game of Thrones, and I'm actually interested in that one.
Okay, all right. So, well, I just wanted to get the story out of the way. It's just a little disappointing that this happened and nobody knew about it, roughly.
Yeah, that is the thing I was bothered is, I'm not a fan, but at least pitch it. I mean, at least let your fans know that it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, and the fans would support it. I know that. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this hour because, well, it's official. The hack has been proved right. Spider-Man has joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Kind of. I'm glad you clarified that, because it isn't technically official yet, but they are rearranging the Phase 3 movies in accordance to this. So I don't know if that's just because they're going to try and get Spider-Man into these films, or if they're going to just do a Spider-Man film, but it is official. We can actually bring in Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, when we talked about this before, I'm still very 50-50 on the matter. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I think it just depends on who you get to write it, who you get to direct it, and what direction you decide to go. But now that Marvel's making them, is this a good sign, a bad sign to people? Well, as far as I have understood, it's not Marvel making the Spider-Man movies. It's still Sony. They just have rights to mention and use for cameos and Easter eggs. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, not even just cameos. Like, they can bring the character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The rumor is that they're going to introduce Spider-Man into the MCU in Captain America 3: Civil War, which makes the most sense because Spider-Man does play kind of a key part in the Civil War storyline.
Yes.
But the problem is this isn't the proper Civil War story, and that's a whole argument I have with this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it is a thing where I don't know, I'm just like you, I'm super excited, but I'm super wary, because I really like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and that's the first thing they're doing is they're kicking him out the door. And I'm just really wary about, is it just going to feel like Spider-Man shoehorned in for the sake of being shoehorned in? Is going to be a legitimate player in the big grand scheme of things?
That is a big question. I mean, because I like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I also like the Tobey Maguire one, but
yeah,
I was one of those people that just kind of seriously facepalmed when I heard all the difficulties Andrew had and some of that was kind of self-inflicted because he had made the assumption that he was already written off.
Yeah.
So at that point, it would have been cool to bring in Andrew to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You already had somebody that people knew currently. But it sounds to me like if they were going to do this, they'd probably have to start from scratch again.
Yeah, and the other thing that bothers me is I wish it was just an all or nothing thing. I really wish Marvel would just get all of Spider-Man or none of it out at all. I don't. As happy as I am for this thing to work, I would prefer it to be with like X-Men or with Fantastic Four, who are Fox properties and have their own franchises, and they already do a lot of the cosmic time travel stuff. It's much easier to have those guys cameo in. Whereas with Spider-Man, I feel like I wish it would just be an all or nothing. I'm one of those few people that everybody was. I wish they would do a crossover. I wish Spider-Man would do this, and I was always a strong advocate of like, no, just get all of Spider-Man.
No, at that point, Spider-Man has enough stories to tell that you didn't have to connect him to the cinematic universe. You had plenty of villains to work with.
Oh yeah,
that you could have done, and I actually kind of agree with you, Aldo. It would have been a better move, in my opinion, to do something with Fox rather than Sony. Just because there's more to work with there. You could actually bring in this new Fantastic Four and have their Reed Richards be talking with Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, or something to that extent. Peter Parker, not so much. It's an interesting pull. I'll grant them that.
Yeah.
But I'm already worried that the first movie he's going to get brought into is Civil War, because that makes me wonder if this new Spider-Man film in 2017 is going to be One More Day the movie.
I doubt it, given that even with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, they never really got to establish Mary Jane, so they probably would just skip straight to Carly Cooper, if anything.
Yeah,
probably.
That's the thing. And it's just, I don't know. I already have enough problems with Civil War as it is. I don't want them shoehorning Spider-Man in and giving me even more Civil War that isn't supposed to be Civil War. It's just that's the only thing that, well, there's a lot of things that have me worry about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that's my biggest worry right now is how shoehorned is Spider-Man going to be in this in Civil War, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, also
go ahead, Ryan.
Well, yeah. Plus, it also depends if it's whether or not the Spider-Man we're getting is going to be Peter Parker. Because one thing a lot of people are throwing around is that, well, maybe instead of Peter Parker, they might be trying to bring in Miles Morales.
Yeah, I'd also seen an argument being made to trying to retell Ben Reilly and make him not necessarily a clone, but make him like another kind of story there. You know, instead of
the mantle.
Yeah, basically something like that, where a young kid, Ben Reilly, comes in, not necessarily Peter Parker's clone, but at least Ben Reilly is a name that people know, and some people have actually said, well, and if you wanted to bring Peter back in, then you could keep Ben. We don't care. But overall, I agree with you, although it would have been a better idea to work with Fox instead of Sony because they had more properties.
Yeah.
Especially properties that work specifically with the Avengers. Alex, what are your thoughts on a Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man? Now he has the option to come into Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and all that.
I don't know. This just makes my head hurt now. I can't keep... I just cannot keep up with all the politics between Marvel and everybody else who's split their rights among them. Look, I like Spider-Man. If I got another Spider-Man movie, I wouldn't complain, but I don't know. Just, it's going to have to be a wait and see what the hell happens, because I don't know what's going on anymore.
That's pretty much the problem here. We don't know what's going on anymore.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Alex, for bringing that breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
because we kind of needed it.
I think that pretty much summarizes the casual moviegoer's feelings on the whole thing. Everybody's like, so wait, first he wasn't, now he was. What?
We're getting a recast. What the crap?
Will he? Will he? Will she? Won't she?
Or it's kind of like, so that's been. Let's see. So they rebooted it the first. Well, first there was the Sam Raimi ones, then they rebooted it in 2012, and now it's 2017. So not even 10 years, and they're rebooting it.
Again.
Don't give me numbers. They make everything more bleak.
And they make your brain hurt.
Yeah, it's only been 5 years. There's the number.
There you go. In 5 years, actually in 2 years, we get to look forward to the Spectacular Spider-Man because I can see them totally doing that. And
then in 2 years after that, another reboot.
Then we'll get the
1 year after that,
Spider-Man.
the reboot.
Oh man, I hope we get Peter Parker Spider-Man.
I don't know. I want the Doc Ock one.
Oh, you want Superior?
I'm gonna get so many people mad at me now.
I doubt we will ever make enough progress with the Spider-Man franchise to get to that point.
Yeah, probably not.
So
Probably not.
let's go ahead. How about we adapt James Cameron's screenplay treatment for a Spider-Man movie?
Does he have screenplay treatment for Spider-Man?
Yes,
Yeah, basically they wanted him to make a Spider-Man movie, and so he wrote a really, really awful script.
I have to find this now. I want to see how terrible it is. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, most I've heard it takes place on a cruise ship, not a cruise ship, like an ocean shipping ship, and apparently Doc Ock goes by Professor Octopus, and he's defeated by having a piece of the Earth fly out into space.
I am A-okay with this. That is not...
Technically, it would be Professor Octavius, but okay.
And also, Spider-Man is 8 feet tall and blue.
That is not the worst thing I have ever heard on Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is 8 feet tall and blue, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, though, the idea of the natural web shooters in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came from James Cameron's script.
At least I'm guessing, because I don't know where they pulled it out of their butts before.
I liked it. I liked it better than the artificial web shooters.
You see, I'm more of a fan of the artificial web shooters because it kind of informs Peter's character. The fact that he's smart, that he's intelligent, that he makes his gear. And so that's what I liked about the Amazing Spider-Man 1. And then the second.
Yeah, but the Amazing Spider-Man 1, it was practically a bottomless cartridge anyway, so it was kind of pointless.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at least with the cartoons, they at least do a good job of saying, "Oh, he made it himself," and so he's trying to run out. So if I agree with you, they probably should have had some instances where maybe he ran out of the web or something.
It did break in two.
Alex now.
in number 2, it did break. Anyways.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next story here, where I know Aldo is going to have some excitement to talk about with this. So apparently, I don't know if they're an indie group or an indie production group, but K&K Productions has put in a bid to be able to do a live-action Dragon Ball Z fan film.
No, so fan series.
Oh, fan series. Okay.
Yeah.
So, live action, huh? Didn't we learn our lesson from Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yeah, but the difference here, after seeing some of K&K Productions' stuff, though, is that Dragon Ball Evolution was made by people who weren't actually fans of the franchise. That basically saw episodes of Dragon Ball Z and tried to apply that to Dragon Ball. Whereas K&K Productions, you can tell with a lot of their concept trailers, it's by fans. So it would be a by fans for fans sort of thing. So I'm actually pretty excited about this prospect.
Yeah.
I guess my first question would be, how would they distribute this series?
Probably just online.
Just like on a YouTube channel or whatnot?
Yeah, it worked for Street Fighter Assassin's Fist.
This is true.
Oh my god, that Reggie face was perfect for that.
I guess it works.
If it works, it works. I don't know. They'll put the disc in, they'll play the Nintendo, we'll make them.
Romney, we've now got a meme with Street Fighter Assassin's Fist and Reggie Fils-Aimé.
I'd have to agree, yeah. I can't even right now.
No. Romney has broke us all.
Technically, my camera battery did, because that's why it popped up, because my camera battery died.
Okay. It was really good timing.
Anyways.
There you go. Your camera has really good timing. So, yeah, they even have kind of updated videos on what they would like to do. It looks like that they would start with Saiyan Saga. In fact, the spec trailer is labeled Dragon Ball Z Saiyan Saga. I don't know if they've got potential casting that they want to do or anything like that. I'm assuming that they're gonna do all that in due time, but they want the rights to be able to do this from? Is it directly from? Oh man, his name is escaping me now.
Akira Toriyama.
Akira Toriyama, or is it from the company that holds the license?
I think it probably would be from a combination of either of. My guess is that it probably would be a negotiation with Toriyama and Shueisha. Shueisha is the company that publishes Shonen Jump.
Sorry.
I think they probably would also have to pitch it to Toei, because Toei has the anime and movie rights in Japan as well.
Apparently, according to the article and their updates, I guess their biggest, at least the ones they're interacting with right now, are Toei USA and Toei Japan.
There's a Toei USA?
Well, the US wing,
so.
I guess.
Yeah,
US
I'm
wing.
a little surprised by that.
Yeah.
They're
A lot of
US
Japanese companies
ambassadors.
A lot of them have set up branches over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flex.
So, all right. K&K Productions doing this. I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I mean, I would like to see what a small studio could do with it as opposed to a big studio.
Adam, did you have a chance to look at any of their other trailer videos they made?
No, not off the top of my head.
Oh, I feel like you really should have.
Is this the same people who did Assassin's Fist?
No.
No. I was
No,
just
no.
using that as an example.
I'm sold.
Yeah. No, I feel like you should take when we're done with this, you should take a look at their at the videos they've done, and you will be convinced why at least why Romney and I are very excited of them possibly getting the ability to do this, because even without the rights, even them doing this basically unfunded, they've done such an amazing job.
Yeah. I think the
Especially
only major
That's the idea. I'm actually more for this idea than I am for a big studio doing a Dragon Ball Z adaptation.
Yeah.
Just because small studios, in my opinion, would probably honor the legacy a little bit better.
And these guys do. They do such an excellent job.
Yeah, I think the only big hurdle they might have would be from 20th Century Fox, which still has distribution and adaptation movie rights here in the U.S. I mean, that's why it took so long for Battle of the Gods to get theatrically screened here, is because Fox has kind of like first run rights for any Dragon Ball Z movie. So that's probably maybe that's why they're saying they're doing a web series instead of a film, so they can get around that contract.
Mm-hmm. That might be the way. But I mean, overall, it's not. I'm not seeing a downside here. Because I think, like I said, a small studio I think would do the franchise justice more than a big studio. Because a big studio would probably have the same problem of that Evolution did, where you're not hiring a person who's a DBZ fan, or you're not hiring a person who understands this storyline in that aspect.
Yeah, or more
That's
accurately,
one of the biggest failings.
Yeah, or more accurately, it wasn't so much that they didn't hire anybody who wasn't familiar with the franchise. Because when I looked into the behind-the-scenes stuff, there were earlier versions of the script that were more faithful, but executive meddling and the fact that they had to get the budget down was what was ultimately the downfall of Dragon Ball Evolution, was the fact that they kept having to rewrite the scripts to get the budget down. Because the earliest draft would have cost like $3 billion to produce.
Yeah.
And so they basically, it was kind of a case of executive meddling to try to get the budget down. And so, yeah, again, I'm excited because it looks like it would be something by fans for fans.
Yeah, and that I am kind of optimistic about. So I'm all for it, letting K&K Productions do it. Alex, do you have any thoughts on this? You're not the biggest DBZ fan, but
even though it might be a fan project made for fans, I just don't see it working. Dragon Ball doesn't seem to really translate well into a live action. I think there would be other anime they could try and pick that could transition a little better, because they're a lot less cartoonish in their nature. You know,
There's a
Dragon Ball-
Taiwanese film.
Ghost in the Shell or Cowboy Bebop.
Well, the thing is that I've seen a successfully executed version of Dragon Ball as a live-action film. It's just not made in the U.S. It was made in Taiwan, and it was actually really well done, especially with the martial arts choreography and visual effects. It's just called Dragon Ball: The Magic Begins. I hype anybody who's watching this. It's available on YouTube. It's English dubbed, and the dub is a bit weird. But out of all the live-action Dragon Ball Z films we've got, that's the best out of all of them.
What I can say is K&K Productions, can you try and buy the noir rights from Stars? Because I don't like what Stars is doing to that series.
I kind of wondered if something like that was going to happen from Alex.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been watching that too, and I'm like, I don't think he's liking that. I don't think that's going to work. But all right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the last entertainment story that we have, and then we can get into what we've been playing and what we've been watching that we want to recommend to people. And this one is just plain silly. I know it's a rumor, but I looked at it and went, let's speculate, because why not? So the rumor is that apparently Mel Brooks wants to do a Spaceballs sequel called The Search for More Money. Okay, first of all, I like the wordplay on that. Because that was totally just a little bit of a jab to George Lucas. Brooks has reportedly mentioned on Adam Carolla's podcast, I believe, that he wants to do this, or at least he's joking about it. Me personally, I'm not seeing I'm already seeing Romney. He's kind of like, I don't know if I want to comment on this. I'm not against Mel Brooks coming back into the fray. I just don't know if Spaceballs is the one I want to see him do.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, because personally, I don't think it's one of Mel Brooks's greatest films, to be honest.
No. Like, of the parody films that Mel Brooks has done, Spaceballs would be in my top 5, but it would not be leading it.
Yeah, it wouldn't even, in my opinion, it wouldn't even be in my top 5. I mean, to be honest, if there was any film a follow-up to any of his films that I would want to see, I'd rather see him follow up to History of the World, because personally, I think that's one of his best.
Yeah, but truth be told, I actually would like to see Mel Brooks re-enter kind of the comedy end, because, I'm sorry, no more epic movie, no more scary movie, no more any of that. I want just a Mel Brooks film.
Yeah, maybe actually show Seth MacFarlane how it's done. That way he can stop trying to do it himself and failing.
Yes, please. Please do that. Because I'm so sick and tired of those films. They are stupid, and the biggest problem that I have with them is that they are so trying to cater to the people who love the Mel Brooks films, and they fail at it. I mean, the last one that I saw, which was, I think it was MacFarlane that did it, but it was the Twilight parody, Vampires Suck. It was just like,
yeah, that wasn't MacFarlane.
You want to be Mel, but you're not Mel Brooks.
Well, yeah, and like with 100 Ways to Die in the West, that was very much Seth MacFarlane trying to basically remake Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
And it wasn't that good. It really wasn't. It was basically just a remake of Better Off Dead, except highlighting all the problems with Seth MacFarlane as a comedian.
Yes, and that's kind of my issue with the matter. But I did want to kind of open this up to the panel. Like, what is the one film from Mel Brooks that either you would want to see a sequel of, or just stands the test of time? Like, when you see that on the shelf, you pick it up and you watch it when you need a good laugh, kind of thing. I'll go ahead and start. And the one that actually comes to me, and I don't know if I ever want a sequel for it, is Dracula Didn't Loving It. I loved a lot of the jokes in that. It was just absolutely making fun of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and also just a lot of the horror tropes. And the cast that they had for it was absolutely awesome. Leslie Nielsen is hilarious as Dracula, as far as I'm concerned. But again, I don't know if I would want a sequel to it. I would really just want to see Mel do something else. Take another franchise. Like, here's an idea. Superhero movies have become really, really popular. Let's have Mel Brooks' take on a superhero film. I think that'd be hilarious. Aldo, what is your favorite Mel Brooks film, or what would you like to see a sequel of?
I'm not the biggest Mel Brooks fan. I haven't checked out his classics. I mean, I think as far as his classic stuff, I think the only one I ever really checked out was Young Frankenstein and History of the World.
Yeah.
If there's anything I would like to see some sort of sequel to, or maybe even a spiritual sequel, would be The Producers.
Okay.
and
All right.
not so much the same cast or even a continuation of the characters, but that same sort of premise, but just new and different. Maybe the producers and they're trying to make a superhero movie because they've seen how successful they are, to kind of go along with your idea, and so it's people trying to con a superhero musical or something like that.
So basically, Mel Brooks's Origin of the Asylum, basically.
Sure, I guess I don't know that reference.
Well, it's just the Asylum. They're the people who make a lot of those mockbusters, and I mean
Oh,
that's the kind of company that does that. That would be like a producer's style story you could tell. Is that they're
okay.
just like, well, we can't make these really huge epic blockbusters, so let's make a bunch of knockoffs to funnel into stores. I mean, that's what I could see if they were to do a spiritual successor to the producers. I mean, that's where I could kind of see that story going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Or
pretty
actually, another one that just came to my mind. We all cringed when we saw the Top Gun sequel that's coming out.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind a Hot Shots 3 though. I wouldn't
Was
mind
that
that.
Brooks?
Yeah, Mel Brooks is Hot Shots
Oh.
and Hot Shots Part 2.
Okay.
So
No,
there you go. Alex, favorite Mel Brooks film? Whether or
Well,
not you would want a sequel of it.
My favorite Mel Brooks film would have to be Young Frankenstein. I don't think I'd want a sequel to it or anything.
No.
I can't think of anything particular I'd want a sequel to. Spaceballs is about it, but I have to kind of mock Mel for the title because Mel Brooks, might I remind you, you remade The Producers and Get Smart. So yeah,
Yeah.
you sought the almighty dollar yourself, old man.
Well, that's just one of the things where it's funny from Mel Brooks is because the whole concept of I can't remember his name off the top of my head in there, but the Yoda allegory is that he is constantly looking for more money. He's looking for more ways to sell out the franchise, and so there's tons of jokes there.
Merchandising.
Merchandising. We have Spaceballs the cereal. We have Spaceballs the video game.
Are we calling the desert?
I mean, there's a lot to go with there. Do I want? Here's why I want a new project from him, because a lot of the people that you would need to bring in can't reprise the roles in these as sequels. They really can't. That's why I would like to see him take on a new franchise or whatnot.
I think the only reason he's probably gearing up to want to do a sequel is probably because The Force Awakens is coming out pretty soon.
Yeah,
That's
that's kind of the premise of this article, is that he was making the joke since The Force Awakens is coming out, doing Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
It'd
I'm
be
kind of in the camp of Romney, and although a spiritual successor to the producers might be fun, especially if they do it in the movie setting instead of the theater setting like the original producers.
No, that's true. I just would, like I said, I would just like to see Mel Brooks actually try to come back with the comedies, because holy crap, if I see one more epic movie-esque film, it's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah. Although if I could make one recommendation, it's a Mel Brooks film that not a lot of people have seen, but I think everybody should see, and that's Mel Brooks's Silent Movie. And basically Mel Brooks made a feature-length film that is a silent film. It's a silent comedy film about these two producers who are trying to make a silent film.
I'll look into it,
I'll
because
look that too, and that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's really good. I found it on a whim at a library. I watched it, and a lot of people think, oh yeah, The Artist, it was the first one, it brought silent films back. It's like, well, I haven't seen The Artist in its entirety, but kind of looking between the two, well, Mel found a way to make it work, like, to make a contemporary silent film is the best way I can describe it. So, any of you out there who are Mel Brooks fans who haven't seen it, check it out. Silent Movie.
What's it called?
Yeah, it's just called Silent Movie.
Silent movie. Okay.
I'm looking it up. I'm definitely going to look it up. That's awesome. So let's go ahead, and we're actually getting really close to the end of the night, but I did want you to bring this segment back because, well, we like doing this. And that is what we've been currently playing or watching that we would like to recommend to people. And I'm just going to go ahead and start right now. As far as games that I've been playing, World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone. That's it. I haven't had a whole lot of time. And funniest thing, when you have strep throat, you really go gear yourselves towards the people, don't take this the wrong way, the mindless games, the ones that don't take a whole heck of a lot of thought. into strategy or whatever, and so I've gone into those. And I've been really enjoying Heroes of the Storm, so I will recommend that wholeheartedly to people. I was not a MOBA guy, and I love what Blizzard has done with it. And yes, I'm a horrible sellout, and you should all not listen to me on that. Really, the one thing that I would recommend to people that I have been watching, and it's not going to be a surprise to anybody on this panel because I am a hardcore Gundam fan, but I finally got around to watching Mobile Suit Gundam Build Fighters Try, the new series.
Oh.
And I'm enjoying the ever-living heck out of it. There's only 18 episodes available. They're all available on YouTube if you follow Gundam Info, and they're subbed. I mean, I'm not expecting a dubbed series anytime soon because I'm still waiting for Funimation to, pull their heads out of their butts and actually rescue that series and bring it to U.S. shores. Because I think these newer series would do really well here. And one of the things that I know that my buddy here, Alex, always wants to get me into is slice of life anime, and I've told him just from the previous series this would be the way to do it because I really do enjoy the slice of life when Gundam does it. But yeah, I wholly recommend it. Go to YouTube. Like I said, there are only 18 episodes up, and I think they're scheduled for like 26. So. But by all means, go look it up, guys. If you're a Gundam fan, you will appreciate this on two levels. One, the Gundam legacy, and two, if you're just looking to have some fun. It really is that. This is not a serious story. This is Gundam kind of making fun of its own legacy. Which, holy crap, they can do that. So, Aldo, are there any games or films or anything like that you would like to recommend to people?
Oh man, go watch SpongeBob the movie.
That might have to be a review at some point because I think, if I remember correctly, Aldo wanted to take me to it, even if it meant that he had to drag me kicking and screaming.
I might have. I don't recall, but I don't put that past me.
We talked about it at Ninja Turtles. That's why.
Oh, probably. I went to go see it. One of the things I didn't know about it until I did a little bit of research on the movie was that the original creators came back to this one, so it had a lot of nice nods and jokes from like the first 5 or so seasons of the series. So it was enjoyable. I ended up seeing it in 3D, and I don't regret it at all. So the 3D was nice. Also picked up Monster Hunter 4U, as I mentioned at the beginning of the Tech Hour. So that's gonna be a fantastic amount of time spent. But
I've been watching the Pro Jared videos, and it sounds to me like it's a huge improvement.
Yeah,
to the Monster Hunter.
There's also, I found out there's a Japanese controller for the for Monster Hunter 4 specifically for the 3DS. So I'm gonna try and see if I can get that imported in because I'd like to try it out. But because I don't have a new 3DS, so I don't have a little thumb C-stick yet. But other than that, I think the only other thing I've been playing what is it called? Life is Strange, which was, if I remember correctly, it was a Kickstarter game. It was a Greenlight game on
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
And it's like a point-and-click adventure game, kind of in the style of The Walking Dead and the Telltale stuff. But it has time travel elements to it, so you can rewind time like a minute or two, real time. So that's interesting. It's very nice so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alex, are there any games or anime or movies that you would recommend to people this week that you've just been enjoying?
Well, not much has changed since my last report. Most of the anime I'm watching, I'm still watching because they're still going.
And you don't want to talk about it because you might be reviewing them?
Possibly. I have started it, if you can call it starting. I did decide to check out AMC's Better Call Saul, the spin-off of Breaking Bad. It's actually pretty good. I'm really surprised. I didn't expect this spin-off to go much anywhere, but yeah, it's got promise, I gotta say.
That's one of those series that I need to get into, but I have a feeling if I started that up and not K-On!, you'd probably murder me.
Yes, I would, because you still have my copy.
Yes, I do. Romney, what would you like to recommend to people, either game or book or movie-wise?
Well, I'm going to limit it to 2 things just to keep it short. But one series I've been getting into recently is Resha Sentai Tokyuja. And for those of you who have seen some of my videos, I'm a huge fan of the Super Sentai franchise. And I kind of scoffed at the idea of a train-based Sentai team, but it's actually a nice, charming little series. I mean, it doesn't take itself super seriously, but it's not like a full-on parody like Car Ranger either. It's actually like kind of nice. It almost feels like they took some shades from the adult-centric series Hikonin Sentai Akiba Ranger, where everything is fueled by imagination and delusions, and decided to kind of funnel that into an official Sentai series, since the idea of using the power of imagination to defeat the bad guys is kind of the underlying thing. So if you go in and not expecting something super serious like, say, Shinkenger or Gokaiger, then you'll probably enjoy it.
So when you say train-based, so like all the Zord equivalents are trains, is that what you mean? Or, okay.
Yep.
But they've done that before.
Express trains.
But they've done that before, haven't they?
No. Well, they did technically in Go-Go 5, which became Lightspeed Rescue here in the U.S., where they had
I think one of them was a train Zord.
Yeah, it was a train Zord, but with this Sentai series, it's specifically centered around not just the Zords, but even their costumes and their weapons.
Oh, okay, all right. So this is basically like Turbo, but with trains. Kind of
exactly.
Thing.
As for the other thing I'd like to recommend, given that we've had a major release that's been the topic of discussion, much to the chagrin of everybody, and people wanting to boycott it, well, a lot of people think, oh yeah, the film's about BDSM, people should be more open to it. But, let me put it this way, it's written by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, so instead of trying to say, oh, boycott the film, I'd like to submit something that is a similar sort of BDSM story that's actually written from a perspective of someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. Now, I'm
confused. Are you knocking 50 Shades of Grey, or are you...
Yes! 50 Shades of Grey is basically Twilight fanfictions with the word switched out, basically written by somebody who only did a rudimentary Google search on BDSM, and not really did any major research, and everybody's like saying, oh yeah, people are like, it's a worldwide phenomenon. So instead of saying, oh, let's boycott the film, I wanted to recommend something that also talks about BDSM, but is actually good.
Are we really talking about boycotting 50 Shades?
Have you not seen the petitions on Facebook? There's been a lot of people wanting to boycott the film. But anyway...
They have not been on Facebook that I follow.
Well,
any of them.
Anyway, Sunstone is a webcomic by Seichman Seichik. It got its start on DeviantArt, and it's basically about these two characters, Lisa and Ali. Lisa's a sub, Ali's a dom, and it does start out kind of in the sense of, oh yeah, it's about like BDSM, and so there is some titillating aspects of it. What kept me riveted is just how well written these characters are. They feel like real people, and it actually goes to great lengths to show that they have a life outside of the bedroom, basically. And it actually just goes to show just what kind of people they actually are, and it also communicates the underlying thing about BDSM that 50 Shades of Grey gets totally wrong. And that is the foundation of trust. Trust is the central thing. But 50 Shades of Grey does not show that in any capacity. So yeah, I have the print version, which is available now on Amazon from Top Cow Productions, but if you people are kind of wary and only want to see a few things of it, go to shinies.deviantart.com. You can find the entire webcomic there for free, and check it out for yourself. But believe me, it's kind of one of those cases, the best tagline I can come up with is, I came for the femslash, I stayed for the story because it is written so well.
All right, so
yeah, don't see 50 Shades of Grey, read Sunstone.
I'm just kind of wondering, are we going to get protested now?
No, because Sunstone's actually good and written from a place of authority.
Okay,
yeah, it doesn't promote abusive relationships.
Yeah,
a picket line would not be good for this podcast because Adam would have way too much fun with it.
Well, they'd have to go to 4 different houses.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Sunstone does not have that problem, which is why I'm recommending it. It's because it actually depicts the relationship realistically, and it's a very positive relationship.
Okay.
It doesn't do the whole Edward Cullen switch to Christian Grey abusive relationship that people think is a good relationship, even though it frickin' isn't.
It's abusive.
Omni's not passionate about this project, not at all.
So yeah, don't see 50 Shades of Grey, read Sunstone.
All right, well, that's a wonderful way to end out the show, is talking about 50 Shades of Grey. So let's go.
It was going to happen.
It was going to happen. It really was. So let's go ahead, and we're actually really close to our midnight deadline, so that's going to call it for an episode. If people want to get a hold of us and give us their opinions on our opinions, or give us stories that they think we would enjoy, Aldo, how do they do that with you?
You can reach me directly on Twitter at Aldo531. You can also find me on YouTube via Anime Overdub ES, or Board Offline, or Reviews versus the World. So, there.
All right. So basically, you're Scott Pilgrim, and you're versus the world.
I am everywhere, yes.
All right. I want to see some scene going, Aldo Gomez has received the power of love, and a sword coming out of your chest.
Would it also be set to Huey Lewis?
I don't know.
Power of love.
No, I was trying to. No, the one is like Scott gains the power of self-respect. Alex, how do people get a hold of you before I run myself even deeper into a corner?
Well, you can find me at Twitter. My handle is AlexJShort. You can find me at Facebook. Again, my name. You can, of course, find me on YouTube. My name here on YouTube is the Shadow Blazer 3000, as it is scrolled across the screen right below my wonderful face. I do have 3 videos up this month, people. 3 videos. Be glad, because that's really a record for me.
People can't see this, but Adam is really giving a thumbs up on this matter.
Thumbs up.
There you go. Romney, it is time for the timer. Can you beat your all-time record?
All right. You can always find me on youtube.com/StudioPhantasma. That's Phantasma with an F. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Ronnie'sReviews. That's no with dang it!
No!
The record has not been defeated.
Reset. Okay,
Well,
let's try this again.
We'll put together the blooper reel for this, but go ahead, Romney.
All right. You can always find me on youtube.com/StudioPhantasma. That's Phantasma with an F. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Ronnie'sReviews. No apostrophe. You can also find me on MoviePilot at moviepilot.com/ROMNE. And if you want to ask me questions directly, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Unless they're completely stupid, you can do so at spring.me/AskRomney. Ah, dang it, I forgot to click.
13 seconds.
Okay, I'm sorry. The end was awesome because it was like, ask Ronnie.
Well, yeah, I forgot to
Rodney, take a breath. Don't be like my cord check.
And this is me with a cold. This is me with a cold. Keep that in mind.
Yes. So it's not that I'm making fun of you. It's just that was an interesting twist. It's like M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong came out of nowhere and just like, what the twist, Romney? All right, and if people want to get a hold of the show directly, they can do that 3 ways. One is our email, which is geekyweek@gmail.com. Once again, that's geekyweek@gmail.com. You can leave us your feedback on the stories, whether or not you think we're full of crap or whether or not you agree with us. We like hearing either way. You could also submit stories there if you would like us to cover them. And if we get Chris Chan stuff, I'm just going to tell you right off the top of my head, no. No, I'm not giving that guy the light of day. Sorry, guys. The second way you can get a hold, or you can follow us, is on Twitter, which is twitter.com/geekynro. Once again, that's geekynro, and you can get updates on when we're going to be going live or whatnot. And the other way to do that is via Facebook, and look up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, and like it, and you will get updates on when we're going to be going live, when we're going to be doing special recordings, things like that. And I apologize, I also have strep, so yeah, it's kind of hard right now. If you guys want to follow me directly, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is right below. If people can't even see where my finger is going, Reggie does not approve of my finger. And that is youtube.com/Drac2326. That is also my handle on Twitter. You can follow me there. And then also, if people want to look into the other things that we do, obviously we have our own respective YouTube channels. Aldo is at Board Offline, Shadow Blazer 3000, and Romney's Reviews or Studio Phantasma in YouTube. I also have Let's Plays going on, and also my channel is where Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions is hosted. So if you want to go look into the past episodes, you're free to do so. But in the meantime, that's going to go ahead and wrap it for this week. First of all, we wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day weekend, and until next week, we will be back with more Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions.
Happy Singles Awareness Day.
That Reggie does not approve of.